Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about. Success. It's going to happen to you.
Donald Trump is without question the world's most famous businessman. As a real estate developer, he has reshaped the New York skyline with some of that great city's most prestigious and elegant buildings. Now, Donald Trump brings his years of experience to the world of business education with the launch of Trump University.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable.
Before there was the hush money payment to a porn star.
A lot of people paid a lot of money for that.
And the defaming of a woman that he sexually assaulted and the attempting to overthrow American democracy, not all that.
Enrolled in that course, Willie.
Donald Trump found himself in legal trouble over a fraudulent business school he created. It wasn't real, Willie.
Wait, we're not getting any Willie reaction.
Okay,
well,
sorry,
I've got the valedictorian of the class in 2008.
Well, that tells you everything you need to know.
You have to pay a little extra to be the valedictorian.
Once you told people, hey, I'm a graduate of Trump U, those doors open wide.
Yeah,
exactly.
They do. The
right
jailhouse doors. All right. In
Uh.
November of 2016, just days after being elected president, Trump agreed to pay $25 million to the thousands of people he tricked into paying for classes at Trump U over the course of a 5-year period. Jeez. Joining us now, the prosecutor in that case, former Assistant New York Attorney General Tristan Snell. He's the author of a new book entitled Taking Down Trump, 12 Rules for Prosecuting Donald Trump by Someone Who Did It Successfully.
So, Tristan, thanks so much for being with us. What's the most important of the 12 rules? What's the first thing you just got to know going in?
The first thing is you got to actually have the right leadership in place. If you don't bring the case at all, if the prosecutor doesn't have the courage to bring the case, let's say that there's the credible accusations. If you don't actually start digging and greenlight the case, it's not going to go anywhere.
And when you do greenlight the case, you have to have total buy-in, you say.
You have to have total buy-in all the way through the ranks. It's got to come from the top official, whether that person's elected or appointed, and then all the way through down to the line prosecutors. And then you need to get out of the way and let those line prosecutors do the work.
What's the next step?
Then really the middle part of the book talks about a bunch of steps around investigation. And a lot of it is you've got to be able to fight back when Trump stonewalls you. You got to get creative about getting documents and testimony from other parties, like his vendors. And he doesn't pay those people a lot of the time. So some of those people can be your allies and they can break open your case.
Yeah.
The list, there's a lot in there. I'm looking at number 11 right now. Trump will lash out, ignore it. That is such a big part of taking on Donald Trump, as we've seen from all these prosecutors, as we've seen from the judges, as we've seen from defendants, as we've seen from E. Jean Carroll. He's going to attack you, go after your credibility. How do you deal with that?
He attacked me. In our case, he didn't attack me by name, but his lawyers accused me of fabricating the witness testimony. We had dozens of affidavits from these brave folks who were willing to step forward and talk about what had happened. And he accused me of making it all up. You know, and look, I had it easy. These folks have it hard. The folks that have been doing this, they've been doing it wonderfully. You have to have a stoic attitude and just keep pushing. I think we saw it especially recently from E. Jean Carroll, the fact that she just kept on pushing on this. And for years, that's the way to do it. You can't let him rattle you.
That's
Isn't a part of the reason a lot of people, whether it be prosecuting him or do business with him, back up is because they don't want to take the battering and they get intimidated that their reputations will be marred in some way. And isn't it that you have to have, you know, like a stiff back in order to stand up to him? Because when you say like lead prosecutors and all, you had the advantage of someone that was at the top of your office that had steel nerves that couldn't be intimidated. Isn't it that character that is required to go up against Trump in any form?
100%. And the intimidation factor and then the co-opting factor, the fact that he was able to cozy up to certain prosecutors and get them to stand down. Those are two of the biggest ways that he was able to evade justice for 40 years, really. And from 1973, when he first got sued for housing discrimination, all the way till 2013, when we brought the Trump University case, he pretty much didn't have anything on him. And now you're starting to see that really turned the tide. And now we see more and more cases and more private litigants managing to score hit points on him.
You know, rule number 8 is get Trump under oath.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of meaningless when you're dealing with a pathological liar? I mean, get him under oath, that's one thing. And he's represented by lawyers who often don't get paid.
Right. Yeah.
By him. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of the degree of difficulty there is pretty high.
The kicker, though, is that if you do it right, and Robbie Kaplan, who's E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, I write about this in the book, did a great job of this. It's not just getting him under oath, it's then managing to get just the right question in. Mm-hmm. Not everybody would have thought to say, oh, let's show him the Access Hollywood tape. She did that, but then some of the questions she asked him, are you a star? Because the whole thing is that he says, well, you're a star, they let you do it. Are you a star? And that activated his narcissism.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he's like, either he has to eat his ego and say, oh, I'm not a star, or he's going to say, I am a star. And then that led him to those moments there where then he basically said that he had the right as a high privileged male to
the deposition is incredible to
It's
watch.
the most devastating deposition maybe I've ever seen.
I was transfixed watching the entire thing. It's really worth it. It reveals his true character. And also, you do see how deft and brilliant the attorney is.
Yeah, they did a great job of that.
She just strings him along.
Yeah. I was just looking at our notes. Some of the memberships, if you call them that, into Trump University, $35,000.
Are you kidding?
People paid $35,000.
It was as much as tuition. Wow. Or more. I mean, it was an enormous amount of money. They upsold everybody to that. That was the key, and that's where they actually made a lot of the money. It ruined it. People lost their life savings, they lost their nest eggs, they lost their homes, they were in crippling credit card debt. It was horrible what he did. And these were his super fans. Right. These were the people who loved him the most. These were people that loved him in The Apprentice. That's why they were coming to Trump University. This was from 2007 to 2010. And they loved him the most, and he knifed them and took their money.
Well, you know, you're describing what's going on right now.
That's exactly
the people who love him the most are writing checks to his campaign.
Or they're in jail.
He's taking that money, and he's using that money for criminal defense and for civil defense. He's using that money for, flying his jet around the country, going from one lawsuit to another. The people who, can afford it the least, Mike, are the people that are giving him the most money right now.
And it leads to my question that I think a lot of people have, but you more than most have experience with Trump up front, up close. How many times did you think to yourself after this trial, you'd sit there, watch your TV and say, this guy became president of the United States?
The whole thing was incredibly surreal. When we were doing the case, we would joke about what would happen if Trump ever actually got into politics. And we just thought it would be like 30 seconds. It would be a publicity stunt, and he would be out. Because as soon as that glare came on him, people would see him for what he was. And it's just been absolutely shocking, horrifying. I mean, I'm kind of numb to it now. You just have to keep pushing, and you just have to keep on trying to tell the truth about what it is. But it's amazing to me. Yeah. But he's conned, as you were saying. Yeah. He's really conned these people. And we see it to this day, and people don't realize they've been conned right up until that critical moment. I think we're going to get there someday, but we're not there. I think a lot of folks that currently support him are going to realize who he is and that he's not in their corner.
The new book is entitled Taking Down Trump, 12 Rules for Prosecuting Donald Trump by Someone Who Did It Successfully. Former Assistant New York Attorney General Tristan Snell, thank you very much. Congratulations on the book, and thank you for bringing it here to us. And still ahead.